19th century, the birth of forensic toxicology. In 1832 and 1836, the Marsh test. Following a failed murder conviction due to unstable evidence, British chemist James Marsh developed the first reliable test to detect arsenic in human tissue by converting arsenic into a metallic mirror. He provided court-admissible evidence, revolutionizing toxicology. The early 20th century, the rise of the crime lab. In 1901, blood grouping Australia. Karl Landsteiner discovered the human blood groups A, B, AB, and O, providing a K method for identifying individuals and linking suspects to the crime scene. In 1904, Lockhart's exchange principle and Dr. Edmund Lockhart formulated the cornerstone of forensic science. Every contact leaves a trace. This concept of trace evidence, hair, fiber, and dust, revolutionized investigation. In 1910, the first police crime lab, Lyon or France, Edmund Lockhart's conviction, the Lyon Police Department to let him establish a crime laboratory in 2 attic rooms of the local courthouse. Mid-20th century, standardization and new techniques. In 1920s, the comparison microscope was perfected, allowing for precise side-by-side comparison of bullets, fibers, and hair. In 1932, the FBI Crime Lab, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, created a crime laboratory, establishing a centralized high-tech forensic facility. In the late 20th century, the DNA revolution. In 1977, superglued fuming in Japan. Investigators accidentally discovered that superglue vapors could be used to develop latent fingerprints on non-porous surface. In 1884, the DNA fingerprinting Professor Alan Jeffrey discovered that each human being has a unique DNA, leading to DNA profiling. 21st century, modern forensics. In early 2000, digital and advanced analytics, the rise of digital forensic, 3D crime scene, reconstruction, and advanced automated fingerprint identification system. In 2010, present AI and rapid DNA, the introduction of artificial intelligence for predictive policing and rapid onset.
The history of forensic services in the Philippines reflects a gradual transformation from colonial medico-legal practices into modern scientific investigation systems. During the Spanish period, in the middle of 1800s to 1898, forensic work was not yet a distinct discipline but was rooted in medico-legal chemistry and public health. Government physicians known as medicos titulares assisted courts by examining injuries, causes of death, and cases involving poisoning. Institutions such as the Laboratorio Municipal de Manila conducted chemical analysis of food, water, and toxic substances, while figures like Antonio Luna contributed to early laboratory development. At this stage, forensic work mainly supported legal medicine and black farmer organization as a criminal investigative science. The transition toward modern forensic science began during the American colonial period, 1898 to 1946, when scientific policy and laboratory methods were introduced. The establishment of the Bureau of Government Laboratories in 1901 marked the institutionalization of scientific analysis. While early crime laboratories were set up by the U.S. Army, the Manila Police, and the Philippine Constabulary, techniques such as fingerprinting, ballistics, and systematic chemical analysis became part of criminal investigations, shifting the focus from purely medical opinions to evidence-based forensic examination. This period laid the groundwork for professional forensic services and integrated science into law enforcement. In the Commonwealth and post-war years, forensic services became more centralized and formalized under national institutions. The creation of the Division Division of Investigation in 1936, which later evolved into the National Bureau of Investigations in 1947, established a primary agency responsible for advanced forensic work. The NBI developed specialized divisions handling forensic chemistry, medical legal investigations, fingerprint identifications, and ballistics. With support from post-war reconstruction efforts, forensic laboratories expanded and became essential to the criminal justice system, marking the full institutionalization of forensic science in the country. In the latter half of the 20th century, a dual system of forensic services emerged. Alongside the NBI, the police maintained their own crime laboratories under the Philippine Constabulary, which later became the Philippine National Police. These police laboratories handled operational forensics work such as crime scene investigations, document examination, and fingerprint analysis, complementing the more centralized and specialized capabilities of the NBI. This dual structure allowed both national level and field level forensic services to develop simultaneously. In the modern era, forensic science in the Philippines has become more advanced and technology-driven. The transformation of the PNP Crime Laboratory into the PNP Forensic Group in 2021 reflects a shift toward a more integrated and specialized forensic system. Today, both the NBI and the PNP Forensic Group utilize sophisticated techniques such as DNA profiling, digital forensics, and drug analysis. Despite challenges such as limited resources and the need for more trained experts, forensic services in the Philippines have evolved into a comprehensive system that supports law enforcement and the courts through scientific and evidence-based investigation.
The Locard exchange principle, developed by Dr. Edmund Locard, is one of the most important ideas in forensic science. It states that every contact leaves a trace. This means whenever a person enters a crime scene, they will both bring something in, like dirt, hair, fibers, and take something out, like dust or evidence from the scene. Even if the suspect tries to clean up, small traces are usually left behind. For example, a criminal might leave fingerprints, footprints, hair, or clothing fibers, and at the same time, carry away something from the scene, like glass, fragments, or soil. These small pieces of evidence help investigators connect a suspect to a crime. Now, forensic chemistry is called the objective arm of the law because it focuses on facts and scientific evidence, not opinions. Forensic chemists analyze materials like blood, drugs, gunpowder residue, and toxins using scientific methods. Their results are neutral and unbiased, which helps courts make fair decisions. In simple terms, Locard principle, sa crime always leaves evidence. Forensic chemistry, science is used to analyze that evidence in a fair and objective way. Together, they help ensure that investigations are based on truth and scientific proof, not just guesses or assumptions.
The rule of scientific evidence governs how courts evaluate and admit evidence derived from scientific methods, expert analysis, or technical procedures, because such evidence can strongly influence a judge or a jury. Legal systems impose standards to ensure it is reliable, relevant, and not misleading. Number 1. What makes scientific evidence admissible? For scientific evidence to be admitted in court, it generally must meet 3 core criteria. The relevance. The evidence must directly relate to an issue in the case. If it doesn't help prove or disprove a fact in dispute, it will be excluded. Reliability. The methods used to produce the evidence must be scientifically valid. Courts examine whether the process is trustworthy, consistent, and grounded in accepted scientific principles. Qualification of the expert. The person presenting the evidence must be recognized as an expert in the relevant field, in education, training, and experience. The Frye Standard. The Frye Standard comes from the 1923 case Frye v. United States. Its key idea: the scientific evidence is admissible only if the method is generally accepted by the relevant scientific community. Example: early lie detector tests were rejected because they were not widely accepted at the time. Strengths: simple and easy to apply prevents junk science. Weaknesses: it can exclude new but valid scientific advances, relies heavily on consensus rather than deeper evaluation. Number 3, the Daubert Standard. The Daubert Standard comes from Daubert v. Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals. It replaced Frye in U.S. federal courts in many jurisdictions. Its key idea: judges act as gatekeepers and evaluate the scientific validity of evidence using flexible criteria. The Daubert criteria include the testability, can the theory be tested, peer review and publication, has it been scrutinized, error rate, is there a known rate of error, standards, are there controls governing its use, general acceptance, still considered but not the only factor, strengths, more flexible than Frye encourages use of modern science, weaknesses, places a heavy burden on judges who may not be scientists, can lead to inconsistent rulings. Number 4, Frye versus Daubert, a quick comparison. Feature Frye Standard, Daubert Standard, basic general acceptance, the scientific validity, flexibility, the rigid, flexible role of judge, limited active gatekeeper, the treatment of new science often excluded, potentially admissible. Number 5, how scientific evidence corroborates or refutes testimony. Scientific evidence plays a critical role in evaluating witness statements. A. Corroboration or supporting testimony. Scientific findings can confirm that a witness or party is telling the truth. Examples: DNA evidence matching a suspect to a crime scene, toxicology reports confirming poisoning, digital forensics supporting a timeline. If a witness claims they were at a location, GPS or forensic data can validate the claim. B. Refutation or contradicting testimony. Scientific evidence can disprove statements or expose inconsistencies. Examples: autopsy findings contradicting a claimed cause of death, ballistics showing a weapon could not have fired the bullet, time of death estimates conflicting with an alibi. Last one, enhancing credibility. When testimony aligns with reliable scientific evidence, courts are more likely to trust it. Conversely, when testimony conflicts with strong scientific findings, credibility is weakened. Why these rules matter? Without standards like Frye or Daubert, courts could be misled by unreliable or pseudoscientific claims. Verdicts could depend on flawed or biased methods. These rules ensure that science in the courtroom remains grounded in real, tested knowledge, not speculation.
The catalog of clues, the types of physical evidence. Physical evidence refers to any tangible material found at a crime scene that can help establish facts in an investigation. It is typically categorized based on its nature and how it is analyzed. Below are the main types of physical evidence. First is the biological evidence. It is a material originating from a living organism, often used for DNA analysis, often considered the most powerful type of evidence because it can individualize a person with high certainty. Must be carefully preserved to avoid contamination by the usage of gloves, sterilized tools, proper packaging like paper bags instead of plastic. Examples are blood, saliva, semen, hair with root, and skin cells or touch of DNA. The purpose of it is to identify individuals through DNA profiling, determines relationships or links a suspect to a crime scene. Collection methods: swabbing for saliva, blood, and skin cells, cutting out stained material, collecting loose hairs with tweezers, and analysis techniques: DNA profiling using the STR analysis, blood typing, the less specific, used as preliminary screening. Its strength is can directly link a suspect to a victim or crime scene, can exclude innocent individuals, while its limitations is it degrades with heat, moisture, or time, and risk of contamination or secondary transfer. Example scenario is a blood stain found at a burglary scene is analyzed. DNA extracted from the blood matches a suspect in a criminal database, placing them at the scene. Second, we have the trace evidence. It is small, often microscopic materials transferred during contact between people, objects, or environments based on Lucas's exchange principle, often invisible to the naked eye and requires microscopes or chemical tests. Examples are fibers, glass fragments, paint chips, soil, and gunshot residue. The purpose of it is to show contact or association between individuals, objects, or locations. Collection methods: tape lifting for fibers and hairs, vacuuming, using forceps for small particles. Analysis techniques: microscopic comparison, spectroscopy for chemical composition, and comparison databases on paint or glass. Its strength is it can establish contact between suspect, victim, and scene. It is useful when no direct evidence like DNA is available. The limitations are usually class evidence cannot identify a single unique source. It is easily lost or transferred unintentionally. Example scenario is that fibers found on a victim's clothing match the upholstery of a suspect's car, suggesting the victim was inside that vehicle. Third is the impression evidence. It is a marks or prints left when an object or body part comes into contact with the surface. Records the shape and pattern of an object or surface. Can be visible, latent or hidden, or plastic like 3D impressions. Examples are fingerprints, shoe prints, tire tracks, and tool marks. The purpose of it is to identify or link a specific object or person to a crime. Collection methods: photography with scale casting, like plaster for footprints or tire tracks, dusting for fingerprints, review the analysis techniques, pattern comparison, digital enhancement, and database comparison. The strength of it is that it can uniquely identify individuals, shows movement and actions at the scene. Limitation is it can be distorted by surface conditions and it requires proper documentation before collection. Example scenario: a muddy shoe print at a crime scene is compared to a suspect's shoes and found to have identical thread patterns and wear marks. Lastly is the chemical or toxicological evidence. Substances analyzed to detect chemicals, drugs, or poisons in the body or environment. Focuses on substances affecting the body or environment, common in poisoning, overdose, and arson cases. Examples: drugs, alcohol, poisons, and accelerants in arson cases. Collection methods is blood and urine samples, tissue samples, fire debris, and analysis techniques is chromatography, separates substances, mass spectrometry, it identifies compounds, and toxicology, screening panels. Strength. It determines cause of death or impairment. It can detect substances even in small quantities. Limitations. Some substances metabolize quickly and disappear, and it requires careful interpretation. Dose versus effect. Purpose is it helps to determine cause of death, impairment, or presence of harmful substances. Example scenario: toxicology reports reveal high levels of poison in a victim's bloodstream, confirming death by poisoning rather than natural causes. In real investigations, these evidence types are rarely used alone. Instead, they are combined to build a stronger case. Example, a homicide investigation reveals: first is biological evidence, the blood on a knife matches the victim. Second is a trace evidence, fibers on the suspect's clothes match the victim's carpet. Third is the impression evidence, a fingerprint on the knife matches the suspect. We have also here the chemical evidence. Toxicology shows the victim was drugged before death. In conclusion, individually, each piece suggests involvement. Together, they create a coherent and compelling reconstruction of the crime, strengthening the reliability of conclusions.